We're talking about something that happened today that was a surprise, both pleasant and upsetting, to me at least. I was glad to see that the Cynthia Chase story that we had broken over at freekeen.com about this New Hampshire legislature who said that the Free State Project, or the Free Staters, are the greatest threat to the state. The single greatest threat, I believe is what she said, to the state. And we broke that story over at freekeen.com. Well, it got picked up by Breitbart today or yesterday, and then Rush Limbaugh picked it up today and talked about it on his show. The problem is they made one huge mistake, and they misrelated this story by calling Free Staters conservatives. So they changed the way the story read to be that there's this New Hampshire legislator, and I'll read Rush's actual words here in a moment, that there's this New Hampshire legislator who wants to restrict the freedoms of conservatives. She says conservatives are the greatest threat to the state. No. The Free State Project has nothing to do with conservatives or liberals, for that matter. It's a group of liberty-oriented people who want to achieve more freedom in our lifetime, not more conservatism, not more liberalism. There may be some people within the Free State Project who might describe themselves as a conservative. There may be others who describe themselves as liberals. But to just take the Free State Project and label it as a conservative movement, I found personally insulting. And we'll talk more about what Rush actually said here in a moment. Johnna's on the line listening in California, and I believe you are a Free State Project participant, Johnna.
Correct.
Okay.
We signed up this summer.
Excellent. What are your thoughts?
Okay. I think it's kind of funny that you're so insulted. I think it's just kind of interesting because I'm going to tell you my journey to libertarianism. I homeschooled my kids. Mostly. They went to public school too, but mostly homeschooled. And I found myself, when I get involved with these homeschooling groups, who homeschools their kids? Very Christian, right-wing conservative families, or hippies, liberals who are into unschooling and let your kids do what they want.
I think it depends on where you're from because, I'm from a conservative area and yeah, it was like religious,
right.
probably.
Both groups do it.
Right, both of them do it.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
But they both do it for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is they don't want the government involved with their kids' lives. Okay? So that's where they're this thing. You have these extreme perspectives on life, but they have one thing in common. They don't want the government having an influence on their kids' lives. So I found myself often involved with both groups, going to homeschool meetings, and you kind of see both groups, and sometimes there's some tension. But overall, I was comfortable with both. At the time, I was very involved in my church, but I wasn't like really diehard. Okay, then I found myself, my daughter was in public school, and the school decided they wanted to impose a uniform, school uniform. I was known in the community as being conservative, a conservative person. Our community's relatively, quote, conservative, like we're talking whatever that means. So I found myself, my husband and I, we went to talk to the principal about it. And when we left, I was a little sympathetic to the reasons, but my husband says, no, we are not going to let the government tell us what color clothes our kids going to wear. They're not going to decide what color is better than some other. Mm-hmm. And so the fight began. That summer, I spent a whole summer gathering parents who were against it, conservative parents who were against it. But the strongest alignment that I had in my community was with probably one of the most, quote, liberal people in our whole county. She used to be the only person who was a member of the Green Party. So the two of us, because we're both more activist-y, found ourselves joined together in this fight against a school uniform that, what did we have in common, even though we totally had different reasons why we were against it? She was against it because she thought kids should have freedom of expression and should be able to wear what they want and not be controlled that way. Where I was coming from, I don't want the government telling me how to parent and what clothes I can put on my kid.
I agree with you both.
Okay. So we were a very strong coalition, the two of us. And ultimately, basically, we just used the law against them and the ed code against them, which they hadn't read.
So they were breaking their own rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just used
as
that
they often
against
do.
them. And they eventually had a uniform according to the law, but in California, any parent who wants to can waive their kid out of it. We made sure they have.
So you can be the one kid that's dressed differently from all the others? Perfect.
Yeah, it was ultimately a big fail because ultimately 55% of parents waive their kids.
Awesome.
Now, imagine how fun that is to enforce. Every teacher had a list of kids who waived out, kids who didn't.
Well, it would be worse if you were the kid whose parents didn't waive you.
You could have two kids, I said, dressed exactly the same. Only one was going to get a referral, and the other one wasn't. And I said, what teacher is going to do that? And they didn't. So it was basically within a year, the year that it was fully implemented.
It was unenforceable.
The principal went and said, well, we want it gone. It's not working.
Congratulations. That sounds like a success story.
But the thing is, so what, during that fight on the dress code, a friend of mine was at the gym, the local gym, and somebody said, that Johnna, she's the most liberal person in this town. She's against that dress code. She's this and that. And my friend was like, what? Do you know her? She's not liberal. But that's the perception because I was against, because some conservatives, I believe, are confused. I'm from the conservative thinking of less government.
Yeah.
And you're right that some want to control things in our lives, abortion, wearing a uniform. They see that as a conservative issue, is getting kids in line, making them follow rules, and conforming to the authority.
I realize there are conservatives, people who call themselves conservatives that are like you out there, and maybe Allie is also, of a similar mindset.
Well, I'm wondering how you were raised, because I think a lot of these lines we draw between people and their parties have to do a lot more with like areas they're raised in and how that lends its, like a lot of rednecks I know were probably beat as kids, but they call themselves conservatives and they believe in good old traditional values. I mean, not really like in any real sense, but politically that is where they stand.
Well, I was raised a Mormon.
Oh.
And Mormons, the Mormons who were against like gay marriage, I had several friends because they know I've left the church say, well, what do you think about that in California when the gay marriage initiative was up? I said, well, my thing is this. I don't care. I have so many other things to worry about. If two people want to get married, I don't care.
Stand by, Johnna. If you can hang on, we'd like to bring you back here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want, toll-free, 855-450-FREE, SACL CAI toll-free line. Join us online over at freetalklive.com and enjoy all the features that we have waiting for you there at freetalklive.com. You can control the content. If you like the show, you can shop with us. Just go to shop.freetalklive.com, and that's where you'll be able to enter Amazon US, Amazon Canada, Amazon UK. Click into the right one for you and get your shopping taken care of. Whatever it is that you're looking for, Amazon probably sells it. They've got dozens of categories. Free Super Saver shipping is available on a whole lot of their brand new items. But you can also buy used. If you want to save a few bucks, you can do it that way too. Go to shop.freetalklive.com. Again, shop.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live brought to you by the Free State Project. Your best chance at achieving liberty in your lifetime. You got to get together with others who think like you do. People that believe in freedom. People who love the ideas of liberty. Maybe they consider themselves conservatives. Maybe they consider themselves liberal. I don't care what you call yourself. All I'm concerned with is whether or not you're willing to allow others to live free. It doesn't matter to me what you think about their lifestyle. I don't care. and it doesn't matter to me what you think about my lifestyle. As long as you're not willing to use the force of the state, to use any force whatsoever, on people with whom you disagree. You can just agree to disagree. You can have discussions about the things you disagree on, but it's when you use force on somebody that it becomes a problem, aggressive force. So go to freestateproject.org to learn more about this movement, and also come see us in person at the Liberty Forum. Now, I guess I can't say you guys are for sure going to be there. Are you planning on
I'm going.
I hope to be there.
Okay, so the intention is that Daryl and Allie will be in attendance. I know that Free Talk Live will be there, live broadcasting every single night. It's coming up February 21st through the 24th. And it's a great opportunity to be around hundreds of other people who actually agree and think like freedom matters, and they're willing to do something about it. Past guests at the Liberty Forum have included John Stossel, Ron Paul, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Naomi Wolf. And this year, the speaker is one of your favorites, Allie. Tom Woods.
I know.
Is going. I'm sure that's why you're going to be there, right?
Part of the reason.
So Tom Woods will be there. He's going to be the keynote speaker on Saturday night. The Friday night keynote speaker has yet to be announced, and the price could go up at any time at freestateproject.org/Liberty Forum. I had heard it was going to go up on the turn of the new year, but I guess they haven't gotten around to it yet. So you can still get the entire convention for less than $200. freestateproject.org/Liberty Forum. You can use the Free Talk Live discount code, which is FTL 2013, and that'll save you, I believe, an extra 10%. So great way to get registered for the forum and save some extra bucks on what is already a really affordable forum. So go to freestateproject.org/Liberty Forum. It's going to be a great time. It's basically a hotel convention, and hundreds of liberty-oriented people are there. It's a blast. Let's go back to Johnna. She's listening in California. Johnna, are you going to be able to make it out to the Liberty Forum this year?
No.
Oh, too bad.
This year.
Too bad. Well, we'll hope to see you out here sooner rather than later. I know you said that you are a Free State Project participant. Now, Daryl, did you have a question for Johnna?
I did. You consider yourself a conservative, correct?
Well, not so much now, because I agree with the whole idea of this labeling baloney, that everybody, it's their own perception, and that for me to call myself a conservative when I know most conservatives are for laws against drugs, when I'm for legalization.
Mm-hmm.
Like in our community, people are surprised when I'm for the having marijuana, medical marijuana dispensaries, and not having the city council make a bunch of silly rules to try to trick people into not being able to have one here.
Right. Well, I think the problem with labels is that
she's a liberal.
I think a lot of people just sort of read what's in maybe conservative blogs or liberal blogs, and there's a lot of consistency there in policy, not in philosophical matters, but they tend to, liberals are anti-gun and conservatives are anti-weed or lots of different things like that. But then when you go out in the community or you go out and you meet people, it's not as predictable as you would think when you look at what a lot of the media looks like. It looks like the media says that this is like a type of person who thinks along these lines and it's all consistent. But in reality, a lot of people are all over the place.
All over, yeah, I agree.
Right. Because I was thinking,
the truth.
I was thinking, Johnna, that you sound very libertarian. And
well, that's the thing. That's what I am.
I know you called in saying that you were, or at least used to be, a conservative.
Right.
And then, you built that alliance with the person that, most people would call a liberal. And I'm all for building coalitions, but don't pin a label on me that I don't want.
Right.
Yes, and I think that's the thing. This is kind of my journey to libertarianism. I have evolved over the past 4 or 5 years a lot. And when you grasp onto the principle, like Ian always says, and that it's about not forcing people to live the way. I may have a way I think is good, but I don't have any business making a law to force people. Like that dress code is a great example. One of my good friends, she was like, but Johnna, I like that idea. I don't have to think anymore. Now my kids just wear polo shirts.
Oh, boy.
And it's going to be so much easier. And I said, okay, that's great. But for you to have your great idea that you think saves money, that you think is more efficient, to have your good idea, and you're saying, okay, I have a good idea how you should dress your kids for school. Now we're going to make it the rule. I said, that doesn't make any sense.
Not only that, but I'm also disturbed by anyone who would feel relieved because the government has taken over the responsibility of having to think.
I'm so glad I don't have to think.
Right, of having to think about to what school you send someone, and now to as far as what clothes you're dressing
what
your
the children learn.
Well, what's interesting is I used to be pro school uniform when I was really young.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would come up, and it was because I didn't know what I was doing as far as style went. So I felt like it would just be easier if everyone had to wear the same thing. And I was also a little bit of a contrarian, and no one else liked the idea, so I just wanted to
maybe everyone
argue.
should shave their heads too. I mean, that would be easier.
Well,
no one would have to think about that.
That's true.
I told that mom she could put her kids in polo shirts every day. She didn't need it to be a rule.
Indeed.
She and her family, she could dress her kids like that if she wanted to,
Johnna,
whether it was the rule or